Oh, you're here again, huh? Well, let's do it then, shall we? Welcome to Movies This Week, where we'll go through all the movie news, the box office, new trailers, and TV and movie reviews. So what's been happening in the world of movies and TV this week? Well, not much, really. It's been pretty quiet.
Thought me and Ray would go to the carnival and rack it up. Yeah, man.
Can't think of anything.
There were some Disney fans who were like uptight and be like, oh, someone that's part of Disney wouldn't do a thing like that. I'm like, shut up, man.
Nope, I'm drawing a complete blank. I can't possibly think of anything. Yeah, that's it. Superman! James Gunn's Superman. Yes, James Gunn's Superman, because James Gunn now owns Superman, it seems. Previewed a little 5-minute snippet of the upcoming film on YouTube. It features him, a dog, and the Fortress of Solitude, and ChatGPT. I have to say, the clip looked a little bit cheap. I'm not sure what it is. It might be the colour scheme, or the costume, or the ropey CG, but it looked pretty damn cheap. I have no doubt that James Gunn will make it a funny, action-filled movie. It'll certainly be more fun than this movie. That movie sucked. But something tells me it will just come and go and not leave much of an impact. I actually think that people may have got Superman all wrong. I don't think many people love Superman as much as the movie world think they do. To date, the top grossing movie featuring Superman is Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, which grossed over $873 million. But a big caveat to that is that it featured Batman, a character which historically has always done well at the box office. If we're talking about Superman movies featuring just him as the lead, the top grossing is Man of Steel with $668 million. However, the 1978 Superman, when adjusted for inflation, beats that movie with a $1.4 billion box office. This, however, was over 40 years ago, when Superman had way more significance in the cultural conscience. In general, Superman properties have been good performers at the box office, but not incredible performers. Now, I predict this new movie will earn Man of Steel type numbers, which isn't a bad start for the James Gunn franchise. The James Gunn franchise, I have to reiterate, this is the James Gunn Superman. It's all about James Gunn. But the clip does still look a little bit cheap though. But I must say, all the complaining about Superman's costume and his hair and his red pants and his dog, there's even complaining about the fact that he whines in the trailer. It's all rather boring. Believe me, the normies going to the cinema, of which the box office really relies on, do not care about these things. Give the people a fun movie and all will be well. James Gunn and his cast were at CinemaCon, and this is also where Disney previewed Fantastic Four: First Steps, as well as the new Avatar, Fire and Ash footage, and First Predator, Badlands. Is it just me, or is anyone else confused as to why Disney keep using these titles with semicolons? I can't wait for them to remake The Godfather and call it The Godfather: The Birth of the Mafia, starring Pedro Pascal. You know, speaking of Disney, I just remembered there was some other news this week. That's right, the box office figures. So I want to introduce this new segment into the show on a weekly basis. We won't dive too deep into numbers unless there's a specific reason to do so, and we will always cover the worldwide box office as well, because movies are universal. However, getting the week-to-week worldwide figures was a bit of a struggle, so if anyone knows where I can get those figures, let me know in the comments. For this week, we'll use Box Office Mojo, because why not? And as you can see, A Working Man starring Jason Statham is #1, grossing $20 million in its first week. And something to look out for here is that this was an Amazon-made movie, Amazon MGM, the same studio that just took over the James Bond franchise. So it actually bodes really well for the potential James Bond movies or TV shows that they have coming up. And in fact, these box office figures are very interesting indeed, and maybe a huge indicator as to where cinema is right now. In the top 10 movies, there's just 5 movies from the supposed Big 5 studios in Hollywood. Top 5 are Universal, Paramount Pictures, Warner Brothers, Walt Disney, and Sony Pictures. So if we go back to the chart, you can see that A24, GKIDS, Focus Features, and Amazon all hold places. Now this is a little different because these are just distributors rather than the actual studios themselves. Distributors put the movies into the theaters and on streaming services, while studios actually make the movies. But all of these movies in the top 10 have the same distributors and the same studios that made them. It's a very telling list that shows that the studio system is pretty much broken. Now, of course, A24 are pretty much a massive studio at this point, so the old theory of the big 5 studios is still true, but actually nowadays is kind of diluted. And Focus Features are actually a shoot-off company of Universal. But with Amazon currently holding 2 spots on this list, and with them not actually needing their movies to flourish financially to stay afloat, because they're Amazon, the landscape of cinema is looking pretty interesting. All right, Marcus, enough of the economics lesson, I can hear you say. Get to the good stuff. Okay, here it is. The worldwide chart. Now this is the top grossing chart for 2025. And you'll find this actually links into what we're going to talk about shortly. Now, if anyone's still in doubt, the cinema in its traditional form is not dying. You need to check out this chart. We're in April, the first quarter of 2025, and a movie which everyone said has flopped, Snow White, is sitting in 3rd position with a gross of just $147 million worldwide. The sequel to Den of Thieves, which came out and went out like a nighttime light at the Neverland Ranch. That's a Michael Jackson joke in case you didn't get it.
No, you're being ignorant. I'm so tired of people being ignorant.
Is in 9th position with a gross worldwide figure of just $57 million. For some context, just picking out a random year here, let's say 2015, for the sake of ease. This was the top 19 box office hits. Now look at that top 10. Nearly every movie made over $500 million, and that's not even adjusted for inflation. Even absolute trash like San Andreas made close to $500 million. Now I can guarantee that if Snow White came out in 2015, it would have easily crossed $500 million globally. The way it's looking, it's probably not even going to hit $400 globally. I mean, heck, Entourage, a wonderful TV series, but a universally panned movie, nearly made as much as Den of Thieves, which is currently sitting at 9th. And Entourage is sitting all the way down at 134th.
Do I look happy?
Believe me, the traditional theatrical box office is dead. In a way, it is as simple as you make a good movie and people will turn up. Yes, that is correct. But also the problem is not as simple as that. Now, before I bore you with more economics lessons, in the comments, let me know if you would like to know more about this subject, if you want a whole video about this subject, because I find it really fascinating. Meanwhile, sitting at number 1 in 2025 is a Chinese movie called Ni Za Tu, which has grossed nearly $2 billion. Only 20 million of that is from America, which actually isn't that bad at all. It's made half of Den of Thieves 2 by itself. Now, I don't know anything about Ni Za Tu. Apart from that, it's a sequel to an animation that came out in 2019. The original film made $742 million, so this film has already over doubled what that film made. It's incredible. The Chinese box office is currently the most impressive market in the world. The numbers do not lie. And with the vertical dramas they're bringing out that are going to gross about $6 billion, China has this whole movie thing worked out. But China does also have some serious issues. And that brings us nicely to this guy. Because Disney did this to him, which is kind of ridiculous. Listen, I got a whole video about this specific subject, so you should probably watch it. It's here, so find that video, watch it. We're only going to go into little bits and pieces on this specific video. So John Boyega claimed that Star Wars fans are racist. Well, he kind of did. In short, my overriding thoughts are this. Star Wars fans are not racist. With any fan base, yes, there are prejudiced people, and it cannot be denied that over the years, there have been advert and covert racism from people towards Star Wars characters. There's also been sexism and homophobia, but for the most part, Star Wars fans do not care about any of these things. I mean, it's quite obvious that Lando Calrissian is one of the most beloved Star Wars characters ever, as is Princess Leia, and it's quite obvious that C-3PO is gay. All the characters are absolutely loved by a huge majority of Star Wars fans. So let's get that out the way. However, Disney, on the other hand, like all companies, are all about the bottom line. And the bottom line is money. And thusly, they did heinous things like this. And chase money over morality. Surprise, surprise. And in turn, Finn suffered. Not to mention, Rian Johnson absolutely destroyed the franchise. And in turn, destroyed Finn as a character. Because it was quite obvious that J.J. Abrams was kind of setting Finn up to be a significant character in the Star Wars universe. And then Rian Johnson came along and blew it out of the water. Now, you can't just blame Rian Johnson. Kathleen Kennedy is also very culpable for this, because ultimately, why would you have 3 different directors with 3 different stories who don't know each other's stories over 3 films? It literally made no sense. Really, there should have been one person overseeing the whole thing, and that one person should have been Kathleen Kennedy. She f***ed up. Now, of course, that doesn't mean that Rian Johnson is completely off the hook. This terrible side quest story was boring as hell, followed by this moment, which was both boring and pointless. It would have been much better to kill the character off here. And this kiss, whilst not the worst in cinema history, because this one is, ranks damn high. So I feel for John Boyega. He got done dirty by many people, including some fans, but not a majority of the fans. Anyway, listen, do watch my video for more opinions and thoughts and facts on this subject matter, because I find it really fascinating. Right, it's time for 1 minute review. What I review in just 1 minute, TV and films that I've seen this week. So easy one this week, as I've not actually watched much, I'm very sorry. I did, however, finally finish Reacher, and it was damn good. Season 1 remains the best season. Season 2 was a shocker of a season, and I'm surprised they came back for more. Season 3 is a return to form. Alan Ritchson is perfect as Reacher, and the last fight in the last episode is amongst some of the best TV movie fights I've seen ever. Excellent stuff. Definitely start this if you haven't already. I give this season a solid 7, and I give the overall seasons a 7. And that's it. That was absolutely under 1 minute. No, I didn't cheat. What are you talking about? I didn't cheat. Okay, so that's kind of it for this week. I rambled on about the box office and cinema dying for far too long, I'm sure you would agree. However, if you do like that segment and liked that specific information I was giving out, I can do that on a weekly basis very easily. So let me know in the comments. Don't worry, Damerol, I am not coming for your role. You are the king of box office. But I think if I'm going to be covering the entertainment of movies and films on a weekly basis, I think sprinkling a little bit of that information in there is completely on brand. But as I talk us out via this incredible outro, my old movie recommendation for this week is Top Secret. If you've seen the recent trailer for the Naked Gun reboot starring Liam Neeson, you'll see it has a lot of the humor that was kind of invented by the Zucker brothers. And this movie is fantastic. It's a laugh-a-minute kind of movie, and this also allows me to pay tribute to the wonderful Val Kilmer. Maybe the worst Batman, but also maybe the best actor of his generation. Just an absolute force of nature. And who best to take us out than the man himself? If you've not hit the like button or subscribed yet, please do. I would love that. Thanks for all the lovely comments over the past few videos. I really do appreciate them. Big love, and take it away, Val.
I'm your huckleberry. Why, Johnny Ringo, you look like somebody just walked over your grave.